Good morning, everyone. I'm Annalyn A. Cardosa, the reporter for today. The topic is all about the techniques in guidance and counseling. First, we define guidance. Guidance is the assistance made available by the competent counselor to an individual to any age to help him to direct his own life, develop his own point of view, make his own decision, and carry his own burden. This definition is from Herman and Erickson. Next is counseling. Counseling is essentially a process in which the counselor assists the counselee to make interpretation of facts relating to choice, plan, or adjustment which he needs to make. This definition is from Glenn F. Smith. What is guidance and counseling? Guidance and counseling is the process of helping individuals discover and develop their educational, vocation, and psychological potentialities and to achieve an optimal level of personal happiness and usefulness. There are techniques in guidance. There are two major techniques in guidance, the non-standardized techniques and the standardized techniques. First, the standardized techniques. Under the non-standardized techniques, there are questionnaire. Questionnaire, a list of questions to be answered by an individual or a group of individuals, especially to get the facts and information. There are two types of questions. The closed-ended question. This closed type require the answer yes or no, or every day, once a week, or never. It is a specific question. Answer lang. Example, how often do you watch Discovery Channel on TV? And the second type of question is the open-ended question. This require a specific answer, like which type of programs do you like to watch on TV, or what is your favorite sports? Next is the observation. This is an oral and visual way of measuring what a person says and what a person does. It is basic to other guidance techniques which does not necessarily pertain only to verbal language. An observer is expected to observe well-defined behaviors free from biases and prejudices. These observations are useful in the study of students and individuals, but their usefulness depends upon the manner and purpose of which they are conducted. Next is the sociometry. Sociometry is the purpose of this technique is the study of nature of social relationship of individuals within the group. It offers an opportunity to identify the personality problems, especially the isolates and the rejected. Example, the teacher may ask students to name 3 best friends in their class. In social acceptance techniques, levels of social relationship are stated, and the student is asked to express he or she sociometric choice. Or another example, the boy is always in trouble with his parents. Who? This question helps the teachers or counselor in discovering the problems of student in relation to the group. Next is the autobiography. An individual life story, routine, behavior, attitudes, interests, ideas written by himself. A guidance techniques for studying individual. It gives valuable information about the individual interests, abilities, personal history, hopes, ambitions, likes, dislikes, and etc. Feelings, values, and attitudes cannot be measured by any other techniques. Autobiography appears to be one technique for appraising these characteristics. Next is the rating scale. In this technique, presence or absence of behavior or trait in a person is rated in terms of quantity and quality. It might be rating the student's performance, handwriting, habits, and many other aspects in a day-to-day teaching. This is the example in rating scale. The qualitative rating, the quantitative rating, and the gradings. These are the types of rating scale. A descriptive rating scale, graphic rating scale, the choice method, the paired comparison rating scale, and the rank order method. First, the descriptive rating scale. Descriptive rating scale is used to assess the personality trait and attitude or behavior of a person. It is example, helpful to others. It is seen by always, usually, occasionally, or never. In the graphic rating scale, it is made to characterize degrees of a trait by a brief description. Next is the choice method. Forces the writer to choose between two alternatives such as true or false. Two alternatives appear to be similar, nevertheless, only one statement reflects the presence or absence of a trait. The paired comparison rating scale. It likes never cooperate like Anna, cooperates like Anna, always ready to cooperate Ellen, and the rank ordered method. In this method, a group of students are ranked according to a certain trait by as many teachers separately as who teach them. Next technique is the case study. The collection of all available information, social, physiological, biographical, environmental, vocational, that promises or help explain a single individual. It is the comprehensive collection of information gathered using different tools and techniques of data collection. In a case study, it looks for the strength or weakness, abilities and disabilities, to plan possible ways of developmental and proper growth of an individual, history and present of family. The anecdotal record. It is a simple statement of an incident deemed by an observer to be significant with respect to given student. In every account, it is a report of a significant episode in the life of a student. Anecdotal record, for example, desire for affection or a threat to his or her security may cause him or her to show certain strange behavior. And a teacher, as teacher, should note it down and should have a word or snapshot for this incident. Next is the cumulative record. It is a record or information concerned with the appraisal of an individual student. The information, which is obtained periodically through various sources, techniques, tests, interview, observation, case study, and the like, is assembled in a summary form of cumulative record card. A cumulative record card supplies the information on points such as personal, home, test scores, school attendance, health, and miscellaneous. Next is the interview. It is a communication with a purpose. A purpose for which the interviews are arranged: introductory, fact-finding, demanding, evaluative information, and therapeutic in nature. There are types of interview. An employment interview. An employment interview is used to assess the fitness of a person for a job. A fact-finding interview. It is the verification of facts or data collected from the other sources. The diagnostic interview. The purpose is the remediation to diagnose the problem of the interviewee and find out symptoms. The counseling interview. It is to provide the insight, a suggestion, or a piece of advice to the interviewee. A group versus individual interview. It is the purpose behind the group interview is the collecting information and the knowledge of a common problem facing the groups. And the authoritarian versus non-authoritarian type. An interview dominates the other interviewer because of the elevated position that he holds, while the non-authoritarian rejects the authoritarian role, or he or she accepts the feelings of the client and does not reject them. And the directive versus non-directive interview shows the path through advice, suggestion, persuasion, and on threat. In the non-directive is assumed the interview has the capacity to grow and develop. He has a complete freedom to express his or her feelings and emotion. The structured and unstructured interview. Structured definite set a question is predetermined. The interviewer confines herself or himself pre-decided question in the interview. Non-structured interview is asked. Structured interview is asked. Unstructured interviewer is no such restriction. Interviewers is free to give expression to his or her ideas. The subject is to be discussed and not determined in advance. Next is the standardized techniques. In standardized techniques, it is an aptitude test. An aptitude test measures the potential of the achieve in a given activity or to learn to achieve in that activity. Why they use aptitude test? 1. They may identify the potential abilities of which the individual is not aware. 2. They may encourage the development of special and potential abilities of a given individual. 3. They may provide information to assist an individual in making educational and career decisions or other choices between competing alternatives. 4. They may serve as an aid in predicting the level of academic or vocational success an individual might anticipate. 5. They may be useful in groupings individuals with similar aptitude for developmental and other purposes. Next is the achievement test. This test focuses on skills and abilities that are traditionally taught in school, as tools designed to measure the degree of student learning in a specific curriculum areas common to most schools. Why they use achievement test? First, it is used to measure the amount of learning. It is measured the rate of learning. It is used to measure the comparison with other or with achievement of self in other areas. It is used to measure the level of learning in sub-areas. It is used to measure the strengths and weakness in a subject matter area because of their extensive use of relatively easy tasks and identifying appropriate measured. Interest and venture. Interest is the behavioral orientation towards certain objects, activities, or experiences. It is an expression of our likes and dislikes or our attraction and aversion. Interest testing is done to achieve some purpose. First, to provide teachers and counselors with information regarding the student's preference and aversion, which will help them acquire better understanding of students and their problems. Next, to help the student to identify and clarify their interests in terms of the demands of varied courses and careers, and choose work and experiences consistent with their interest. Third, to enable teachers, counselors, and parents to know the kinds of intensity of students' interests and assist them to prepare his educational and vocational plans consistent with his interest. To help channelize the energies of the youth in appropriate directions. To help in the selection of the right person for the right work, and thus save frustration, unhappiness, and disappointment in the lives of the individuals and increase productive capacity of individuals. Personality test. Personality is inclusive of everything about one's socio-emotional and personal characteristics. Personality is the sum total of an individual behavior in social situation. Purpose of personality testing. It helps the students in proper education and vocational choice. It helps the individual in resolving emotional conflicts. It helps the teacher and the counselor. It helps the employer in proper selection of the personnel. It helps the clinical psychologist. Techniques and counseling. There are three major techniques in counseling. One, the directive counseling, the elective counseling, and the non-directive counseling. Directive counseling, the counselor-centered counseling. In this counseling, the counselor does everything himself: analysis, synthesis, diagnosis, prognosis, prescription, and follow-up. Directive counseling is also called prescriptive counseling because the counselors provide the solution or the course of action for the pupils. The non-directive counseling. In this counseling process, the counselor comes to the counselor with a problem, and the counselor establishes a rapport with the counselee based on the mutual trust, acceptance, and understanding. And the elective counseling. It is a combination of directive and non-directive techniques between the situational factors. And that's all the techniques in counseling, and thank you for listening.